of Mr. and Mrs. Washington Job Thompson. Sister Afton Orchard, singing I've Grown So Used to You.
In an old-fashioned homestead sat a couple old and gray. They were on the way to 80 years and 10. With the tide of life for many years, they drifted side by side. The dawn of youth they'll never see again. The old man's thoughts were turning to a day that's long been dead. He was dreaming of the wedding bell that rang when they were wed. With the light of love still burning in the same old lover's way. Unto his wife these words I heard him say. When your eyes so bright have lost their light, your voice so dear no longer hear. When you're come home and I'm alone, I won't know what to do. If the master knew how I'd miss you, I wonder if he'd call me too. To break my heart break my heart if we should part. For I've grown so used to you. Brother Thompson requested also that I sing I Love You Truly. I love you truly, truly dear. Life with its sorrow, life with its tears, they seem to dream when I feel you are near. For I love you On a frosty, cool October morning in 1890 was born born to a family who lived in Wilson Lane, Utah, to William Thompson and Jane Wanless Thompson, a son. This was their 10th child. He was born to a family. There were 13 children in the family, and he was the third from the youngest. So he had a number of brothers and sisters to spoil him and fuss over him and do things for him and help raise him to maturity. At a very early age, he set out to work away from home, and he has always been a hard-working man. A couple of years later, in a surrounding community, a close-by community, Marriott community, a little girl was born. She was the fourth in a family of 6. 3 boys. I beg your pardon, 5th in the family of 7. I forgot the oldest one died at birth, and I forgot to count him. I'm sorry. She was the 5th in the family of 7. She grew up in the Marriott community, and he grew up in the Wilson Lane community. And as was the custom to do, all the small communities went around to each community to have their dances and have their recreation and fun. And transportation wasn't what it is now. They went by horse and buggy on not gravel roads or oiled roads, no airplanes. They'd never heard of a thing like an airplane or a helicopter. But they had beautiful horses, and they would hitch them to the buggy, and that was their transportation. And the roads were muddy and narrow and rough. But you know how love is. It always finds a way, and even though the river was between their communities, this young fellow, Washington J. Thompson, used to cross the river with his horse and buggy, and there wasn't always bridges. A good share of the time they forded the river. Then later there were bridges. He met this girl in the Marriott community, Mabel Naoma Butler, and it wasn't too many times that they saw each other until they decided that they should be very good friends. Their friendship grew from friendship to love, and they were married. He was 20 and she was 18. Life moves on, and it wasn't long until a new one was expected in their family, and he said, "I hope it's a boy." Christmas Eve arrived, and the stork arrived at the same time, and it wasn't a boy. But anyway, he thought, well, I can suffer this one through. So he was patient and suffered it through, and 2 more years went by, and came almost Christmas again. Just 6 more days, it would be Christmas again. And the stork arrived again. This time he said, "It's got to be a boy." But when the stork arrived, the stork left another darling girl. This was a disappointment because he was a farmer and he was going to need some boys. Well, time went on, and another 2.5 or 3 years, the stork arrived again. And he said, "I've just got to have a boy." But when the stork came one hot afternoon on the 5th of July, and as I remember, there was never a hotter day in the world than that afternoon. When the stork arrived, it was another girl. His heart was heavy and his face fell a mile because he was a farmer and he had to have some boys. Time went on. War broke out. It looked like he was going to have to go to war along with all the other young fellows. He volunteered. The doctor says, "No, that isn't for you. You have a duty here that's much greater, and you must remain at home." And the war went on, and just about the time for the stork to arrive the 4th time, the armistice was signed. No, I beg your pardon. I'm a little bit ahead of my story. Anyway, they were expecting the stork, and the world was in a turmoil. This was First World War. And he was really feeling Like, well, this time it'll be a boy. I've just got to have a boy. On the 6th of November that fall, the stork arrived and left at their home another darling girl. This was quite hard to take, but anyway, they now had four girls. They moved around within a radius of about 15 miles over these first few years of their married life. And when they were first married, he worked at the packing house. And like you start all jobs, he started at the bottom and worked his way to the top. And about the time he became assistant manager, life became a little bit difficult for him health-wise. He'd been inside too long. And the doctor says, for your health, you have to get out and be in the open. So then he went to farming. And this baby girl was born the 6th of November. And on the 11th of November, word was received in Ogden, Utah, the armistice had been signed. And all the boys that had been called to the war would be coming home. Following the war, as usually follows those kind of things, there was a bad outbreak of influenza. This was a disease that was very contagious, very deadly. There were no antibiotics, not too many doctors. No one knew too much about what to do, and many families died rapidly. Because it was such a serious thing, the community things were all closed. Schools, churches, shows, everything that a public gathering ever got to was closed down. There was nothing held publicly. Christmas time came, and it was snowy as usual, and things were still closed. And he had bargained for a farm in Malad, Idaho. So he went up a little before Christmas, and then he went to Ogden to spend Christmas with his family, and then he went back. And after Christmas, the family moved to the home in Malad. This was a dry farm west of Malad. And there, W.J. and Mabel and their 4 little black-headed girls lived out on a dry farm, not too far from the Washakie Reservation, incidentally, and we had to be careful for fear we got mixed up with the reservation children. Wouldn't have been very hard to have gotten mixed up because the Indians used to pass our place real often. Time went on, and circumstances always alter conditions, and so the family moved the next year, a year from then, moved to western Idaho, through the canyon about 30 miles. They lived there from 1919 till 1951. In every community they've lived in, they've been sort of cornerstones. They've helped with the irrigation, they've helped with the school buses, they've helped with the roads, they've helped build the church houses, they have helped with many community services. They've worked in all of the organizations and given much of themselves, much of their time, much of their means to the improvement of community life for their families and other families, and for we who follow now our grandchildren. After they'd lived in Weston a while, the stork was expected again, and he was going around with kind of a long face. He didn't know this time, but he still had to have a boy. Came almost time for Christmas again, about 7 days before Christmas, 5 days before Christmas, and the stork came. And this time he left a boy at the Thompson home. Stand up, take a bow. At this time, I was 10 years old, and I very well remember all the events that took place. And we older children were shipped off to an aunt's place to stay while the new baby was getting adjusted at home for a day or so. And when he came up the street, you could see the smile a block away. "It's a boy" was written all over his face. Of course, this made him very happy because he was still a farmer, and he loved horses, and he loved the land, and he had to have boys to help. But of course, long before this time, since he hadn't had boys, the girls were put in working clothes, and they were taught to be boys and do boys' chores outside. So we were boys and girls, regardless of our sex, which was wonderful. And then, a couple of 3 more years, the Stark arrived again, and he brought another girl. And by this time, W.J. thought this was the end of the world. Here he was, 6 children and only 1 boy. Time went on. Many things happened. The Stork arrived again, and he brought another boy. And was he ever elated? He had 2 boys. And in 2 or 3 years, the Stork arrived again, and he brought another boy. And W.J. began to beam like everything. He had 3 boys. And time went on, another 4 years, and the Stork arrived again and brought the 4th boy. This made the 9 children, 5 girls and 4 boys. So now he had his boys, and he could go on farming. One by one, they all grew up, and of course, one by one chose mates and for themselves and moved away. So it wasn't too long until they inherited 4 son-in-laws and 4 daughter-in-laws. And time has marched on several years now, and today their posterity numbers 8 living children, 8 sons and daughters-in-law combined, 28 grandchildren, 8 great-grandchildren, and incidentally, this is where he got his boys again. He has, out of his 8 great-grandchildren, he has 2 daughters. They are here today, 2 granddaughters, great-granddaughters, and 6 great-grandsons. He's helped finance many missions for other fellows outside of his own family. He sponsored 2 sons on a mission. He had 3 sons that went into the service for their country, and a son-in-law and a grandson. He has a grandson in the mission field now. He's in Australia, and he's doing a wonderful work in the land down under. There's a lot of things I've left out, I'm sure. But this is sort of a highlight. They lived in Weston, incidentally, until 1951, and then they moved to Idaho Falls, where they still reside. Having a golden wedding anniversary is something wonderful, something that everyone doesn't achieve. And to have reached 50 years of living a compatible life with your partner, to have raised your family and see them grown and married, and some of them, all of them having their families and then the grandchildren coming along, is a wonderful accomplishment. And I feel like this is a marvelous blessing for our family. We number 58 now when we're all present. Some of them couldn't be here today. All of the children are here, and 3 of their 4 son-in-laws are here. They will be when the other one arrives. And all of their daughter-in-laws are here. All 4 daughter-in-laws are here. And there are some of the grandchildren who couldn't come and participate. We all live in different communities. The boys, two of the boys live in Arizona, one in California, and one in Paul. And the girls live, one in Bedford, Wyoming, one in Preston, one in California, and one in Boise. This is a sketch of your life, and I hope...
This is Ardella again. Since November 1954, we have resided at Bedford, Wyoming. When Ira's health failed him and he was disqualified from his railroad work, we bought the Bedford Mercantile, and I was made acting postmaster on July the 21st, 1955, and received my commission as postmaster of Bedford, Wyoming on March the 15th, 1956.
The water hadn't disappeared, so I went on up the ditch. She run a road, and Brother Rose, Bishop Rose, from the Western Warden, from the end of the newspaper, the Warden, New Old News, everything. So I told him I had a new son. And so I went on home, passed off that, and so along came Johnny Gibson, and Johnny Gibson was really the one that scattered the news around the world. So Bishop Rose said to Johnny Gibson, he says, Thompson was up the ditch and he got a new baby. He found a baby. So it went on and said, and nobody cleared the story up. So for the long, the sheriff called me up and wondered where I found that baby. And story after story come over the telephone, they called up and wondered all about it. Thompson found a baby in the ditch. That didn't have to be the case. That was the story made up by our bishop. And, but it grew from one story to another until it mounted to quite an affair. So I had to say that to the sheriff because he's not on my trail on the line of my own reporter.
We will sing My Happiness to the words of Happy Anniversary, and we're accompanied by our mother. Judy Kay, Janine, and Beverly Thompson sang My Happiness, and they were accompanied by their mother.
I am the second child of Washington Job Thompson and Mabel Neoma Butler Thompson. Ardella, our Mrs. Ira Davis, mother of 6 children, 4 girls and 2 boys. At the present time, we have 2 grandsons. You might say I am the branch that ran over the wall, for during our married life of nearly 26 years, 20 of those years have been spent living in the east and middle west part of the United States. 5 months after our marriage, on December 4th, 1934, we started east and have lived in 3 missions of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. 5 years in the East Central, which has now been redivided, 2 years in the North Central states, and 13 years in the Central states, 8 of which we were missionaries on an official call. In this mission, I held the offices of counselor of the district president. Districts in the mission field are like stakes in the body of the church. Member of the district council and first president of the newly formed Adam-on-Diamond branch, which was dissolved when our employment headquarters were changed. I was the branch clerk at this time of the same branch, and it was more like a district because it consisted of 8 counties in northern Missouri. Our home was a headquarters for all missionaries and mission presidents who come to Brunswick, Missouri, the first ones coming at our request to the mission president. We were the first missionaries to work in that territory for over 100 years when the saints were driven out by mobs. During the time we were missionaries, I was advised by the mission president to join the Masonic Lodge because of the greater opportunities he would have to preach the gospel. He filled all the offices in the Masonic Lodge, was a member of Eureka Lodge number 73 and chapter number 37, Royal Arch Masons, and was a member of the Chillicothe, Missouri Council, and served as district deputy grand master of the 19th Masonic District for 2 years.
I, Janine and Beverly and Kevin Thompson and Karen Thompson and Linda Foster, accompanied by Judy Thompson.
Daddy of mine and I will be accompanied by my mother. I will play Put On Your Old Gray Bonnet, and I will be accompanied by my mother.
I moved to Arizona about 4 years ago for my health reasons, and we have three, how many we got? Three girls and two boys. And they were unable to come today. We had them up there in July, and they didn't feel like they could come now. So we were here alone this time. We were occupied down there and as an independent distributor in the milk business, and we have bought our home down there and plan on staying down there for a while. I think that's about it.
Well, this is Reed. I'm the second boy of this tribe. 4 years ago, we moved to Paul, Idaho, and took up a homestead there. And my wife Cleo and I, we have four girls and one boy. Our family's all here with us today. Well, I've got two positions in the church right now. Trying to get rid of one. I'm assistant ward clerk, a financial clerk, and I've just recently been appointed one of the 7 presidents of my 70s club.
It's the top. I'm not company. We'll play Slovenian waltz.
I'm butler number 3, and I moved to Arizona the same time Blaine did, nearly 4 years ago. We lived there. We're both in the milk business there, and I have my whole family here today, my wife and my daughter and 3 boys. We missed the reunion this summer, and so we made a special effort to try and get here this fall to this, and we're very thankful we could come. I live in the 9th Ward in Mesa. I'm in the Elders Quorum presidency there at the time.
Well, I'm very happy to be here today with you to mingle once again with our friends and relatives. It's been quite a while. We haven't been to the family reunion since 1958 in Lava Hot Springs. Almost a year and a half ago, we moved from Salt Lake City, where we resided for almost a year after we were married, and we moved to San Diego, California. And there I'm employed in missile business with Convair Astronautics. I work as an electronic technician. We recently moved into a new ward. As all people going to San Diego, I believe they all move into the 4th Ward first because that's the transit ward. All newcomers seem to go there. After they buy homes, why, they just fan out. And that's what we did. We bought a home and moved to the 8th Ward, where we are presently, and they haven't given us positions as yet. Charlene is engaged in mutual work. She is just resigned or was released from the 4th Ward Young Ladies Mutual Presidency, and is now in the stake board, on the stake board as drama director. I've been teaching a Sunday school class and ward teaching. That's about all I've been able to handle with my school and work. That's about all I have to say. Thank you.
We would like to play Down by the Riverside. Jane is playing a clarinet, I am playing a trombone, and David's playing the cornet.
Thank you.
yours may you always.
I'll speak for the Warwick family. I'm that fourth daughter that Father was so disgusted about getting. We live in Whittier, California. My husband is a school teacher at Little Lake Junior High, and he is the head of the science department there this year. He also is the president of the High Priest Quorum in our ward, which is Whittier 3rd Ward. We have a wonderful new chapel to worship in, for which we are very grateful. It is also the stake building. At this time, my husband and I are working with the genealogy committee in our ward. My husband is the chairman of the genealogy committee, and I'm a home teacher. Our daughter Janice is in the 6th grade at Jordan grade school, and we have a new home at 15902 Northcrest Drive in Whittier.
I make enough racket so I don't need a loudspeaker. You don't know how I appreciate this fine entertainment this day. And you'll never know till you go through the same ordeal or the same experience yourself. It was just 50 years ago today, on the 12th of October, that we were married in the Salt Lake Temple, and that seems quite a while ago. We were just a couple of kids, not very big, but we thought we were anyhow. But anyhow, as time went on, we met one another quite young in life, and we courted about 3 years and 3 months before we were married, and finally decided that that was the thing to do. I'm thankful to say that all of our family has been married in the temple, and they're all raising their families in the church, and we're sure proud and thankful for that particular thing, because you got to live about 70 years before you realize and know just what all this amounts to. When you see all of this posterity growing up and the different avenues of life they're going to take, the different places they're going to represent the blood of our family, it makes you wonder what it's all about. And that's what I meant when I said in the beginning, this wasn't all planned this way. A lot of it just happened. I didn't mean it the way you folks took it. I meant it the way it was in my mind. But it's wonderful, step by step, what happens from time to time, and one thing brings on another thing. And first thing you know, a family here of 57 has developed from this process of us being married 50 years ago on the 12th. I had a brother at one time, and he was an old bachelor. And when I told him I was going to get married, he said, well, you better put off getting married and go to school a while. That's the thing I should have done, that's true. And I married a daughter of a very religious woman. And he wasn't too religious, and he said that that mother-in-law of yours will have your nose in that Bible all the time. Well, anyhow, I didn't take his advice. I got married, and finally he married a little older woman. I don't know what you call them. But anyhow, they never got along very good in life. They had a lot of trouble, a lot of ups and downs. And this woman happened to be a Danish woman, by the way, and at one of our family reunions, not with this family, but with my family, we all liked to kid him a little bit because he'd had so much trouble with this woman anyhow, and he thought she was just about the clear stuff when he married her. So we asked him one time if he's going to get married again, would he marry a Danishman and a Danish woman? And he said no. He said if there's 10 Danish women all stand in a row, he says I'd give them all 10 cents and a kiss and tell them all go to hell. So sometimes young marriage is all right, sometimes no marriage is all right, and sometimes neither one of them works out either way. So you never can tell just what's going to happen when these things are planned in the first place. But we have had a very successful time together, very successful wedding, and our 50 years has had a lot of ups and downs and happy occasions and some sad occasions. We've had several disappointments in life, but all in all, why, it's turned out all right anyhow. You know, it takes these hard bumps to really make a man out of you. I've been kicked around till hard knocks don't hurt me anymore. It seemed like that when we started out in life, we was just like every other couple that was in love. We thought everything was going to be rosy, and it has been quite rosy. We've had quite a successful life. We've had very little difficulty in getting along. Once in a while I have to give in, or quite often I have to give in to her ideas. But nevertheless, we've gotten along fairly good. We've had financial disappointments. 3 times we went entirely broke. We wasn't worth a dime. In fact, if the outfits that we owed, the mortgage companies that we owed, would have dared close in on us, we'd been setting out on the road without a dime. But we panned out, we got through them. On all three occasions, we lost quite a lot of money and set us back in life. At one time, in the panic of 1929, we lost about $5,000 in a bunch of sheep we'd invested in. And we had to give up a 40-acre farm that we had clear. Didn't know a nickel on it at that time to clear ourselves, so we lost the farm, and we lost the sheep in that deal. A little later on in 1933, we went through, or 1931, we went through another panic. And at that time, I was the owner of quite a lot of cattle and stock and property. And through the Depression of 31, it all went on the rocks. We lost out then. It was on the bare boards again. And in 1933, we went through a similar panic, and we was on the rocks again and down to start over again. But I want to say this for my family. They've stayed with me, stayed with us, and helped us over the stony roads. And so we can only feel that we can't do too much for them from here on, because they have sure helped us out and helped us over the stony parts of life. Like Lucille said, I didn't have any boys for a long while, and I made boys out of all of these older girls. Lucille can hitch up a team of horses and mow a swath down through the field, or drive a team down, plow a ditch just as good as any man I ever had on my place. And Ardella likewise, and Bernice likewise, and Marion likewise. I've seen the time when Ardella could get on a pony and go get the cows and ride it just as fast as anyone ever dared ride a pony, with a big straw hat on her head with an elastic band under it, and the hat would go back. She'd get to going so fast, and her long curly hair just waving in the air, but she got the cows anyhow. And I've seen the time when Marion would ride the horse so fast that I was scared she'd going to get killed a lot of times, and several times she did get piled off, but she never gave it up. She could ride the horse just as good as anybody. I remember one time when Lucille wasn't too old, I had a very fine span of horses, and they were really dangerous team to drive because they were full of life and they wasn't too trustworthy. And she was mowing with another team, and we were mowing hay together, and her mowing machine broke down. So I told her if she'd just take a rest till I got back. I went over to Preston and get parts for the mower, and she said, "Daddy, why can't I take your outfit and keep mowing?" And I said, "Well, I don't dare trust you, those horses." She says, "I can drive them just as good as you can." So I went on over to Preston and got the parts for the mower, and when I come back, she was going around a 30-acre field with that nice team of horses, just cutting down hay just as fast as they could go, and holding on the lines and driving that team just as good as any man could drive them. So all of these things are instances along life's road that comes to our memories at times and brings back thoughts of the past. We've lived in 7 wards, 7 different wards in our lives. We've lived in 6 different states. We've labored under 18 different bishops. And I labored in 2 bishoprics of about 5 years apiece. We have owned, or partly owned, at least we was on the contract, we have owned 12 different farms in our lives. We have dealt with 11 different banking institutions in different localities. I was secretary of the ditch company for 5 years. I was chairman of the ditch company for 6 years. I was secretary of the Livestock Association for about 10 years. I helped organize the first Farm Bureau in Franklin County and served on that board in the dairy department of that board of the first Farm Bureau that was organized in Franklin County. I helped and worked hard to get and to build the West Side High School, of which I was trustee for 2 terms, and also trustee of the high school that burned down at Weston for 2 terms. I was chairman of the district school board for 2 terms. I helped to organize the West Side Chamber of Commerce and worked as a commissioner in that board. I worked on the West Side Road Commission for some 8 or 10 years. I was president of the PTA for about 5 years. I helped organize and build the West Side church just before we came up here, a building that cost us about $185,000. I was chairman of that for 5 years. I was chairman of the ward choir for 5 years. I've been chair, and I have that same job now in this ward. I helped to organize the first purebred bull block association in Franklin County and served as a member on that board, and was instrumental in getting 6 purebred animals into the county, the first 6 purebred dairy animals that came into Franklin County. I've been a Sunday school teacher, superintendent Sunday school. I have been a ward teacher for 53 years. And while I wasn't a ward teacher, while I was in the bishopric, I wasn't appointed ward teacher, but it always fell my lot to have to go. So I've actually served as a ward teacher for 53 years. I've helped to build and repair 7 different church houses and helped to, with my finance, whatever I could in that respect. Now, I don't make mention of it.